And joining me now is Georgia Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene. Congresswoman, you just do that monologue, and it's really shocking when you lay it out with a timeline. It's almost impossible not to see the links. Will we end up seeing a link, and will we get the big guy or Hunter even? I don't know, impeached? This is your goal is to get him impeached and Trump expunged, right?
Absolutely. President Trump should be expunged. The two impeachments the Democrats brought against them were complete hoaxes. They were wrongful, and the right thing for the House of Representatives to do is to expunge both impeachments. That would be righting the wrongs of history, and I'm working very hard to make that happen. But we must impeach Joe Biden. I introduced articles of impeachment on January 21st of 2021 because of the corruption that we knew existed in Ukraine, with Hunter Biden serving on the board of Burisma. But now, through the great work on the Oversight Committee, we have been able to produce proof of payments going into LLCs owned by Hunter Biden and many Biden family members. This comes from foreign nationals, foreign governments, goes into direct payments for the Biden family members. But the 1023 form, Eric, is where the real proof is, where Joe Biden himself, as vice president, took a $5 million bribe in order to get Victor Shokin fired and to stop the prosecution of Burisma.
So, Congressman, we saw Kevin McCarthy say that he's going to start an inquiry into an impeachment. And my question to you is, I think a lot of American people watching right now, I mean, what more do we need to inquire about? Why don't we just go ahead and begin the impeachment? Obviously, the House will do the impeachment and the Senate will probably not sanctify it. But why not just start?
Well, as usual, Eric, the American people are already way ahead of Washington, D.C. on the issue of impeachment. The American people completely agree with impeaching Joe Biden. This has been voted overwhelmingly with over 50% of Americans. This includes Republicans, Independents, and Democrats. But as usual, Congress is way behind the American people because Congress is usually disconnected from the American people.
What is it, 200? You need 218. You got 221, I think, or so. Do you think you would have any Republicans, GOPers, vote not to impeach the guy?
I'm afraid that we could have that happen. We have to have 218 yes votes to impeach Joe Biden. We only have 222 Republican members of Congress, and I'm afraid we probably don't have quite enough votes right now. And that's why Kevin McCarthy is looking at this impeachment inquiry. But he's also looking at the impeachment inquiry because the evidence is showing that this is something that should be done. The proof is in the work of the Ways and Means Committee, the Oversight Committee, and the evidence that these brave whistleblowers, not only from the FBI but also from the IRS, have brought forward into true crimes committed by Joe Biden, along with Hunter Biden and other Biden family members.
You know, you're one of the Braveheart warriors on the House, and thankfully you're on our side. The reason why I bring that up is when it was Trump and there were two impeachments, the Democrats seem to circle. They get behind their ideas and they stick together. Are the Republicans getting cold feet, let's put it that way, in impeaching Joe Biden?
I certainly hope not. Actually, I think the momentum is going to impeaching Joe Biden, which is very encouraging to me. We have proof that we read in SARS reports in the Treasury. We have proof that we've seen on bank statements and wire transfers into fake LLCs and payments out to Biden family members. We have proof on an FBI 1023 form that Joe Biden took a $5 million bribe from the oligarch who owns Burisma. But Eric, it goes even further. Look at where we are right now. We are funding a war in Ukraine, and you have to ask the question. Peter Schweitzer has asked it, and I am very concerned over it. Is America and our hard-earned tax dollars being embroiled in this further and further because Hunter Biden and Joe Biden himself is on the hook with damaging evidence that Zelenskyy himself has against Joe Biden? And I would argue that the answer is yes. And I'll go a bit further. Never forget, with the first impeachment of President Trump, that happened because of a phone call between President Trump and Zelenskyy, the president of Ukraine. And I would argue that there's collusion between Joe Biden and possibly more people with that impeachment hoax.
So We played a montage of Joe Biden denying any knowledge of Hunter Biden dealings, denying ever talking to Hunter Biden about his dealings. Can you definitively say that Joe Biden lied about that?
Absolutely. And next week, we have Devin Archer, Hunter Biden's former business partner that's coming in, and he is expected to testify and talk about how Joe Biden himself was on the phone with Hunter Biden and Hunter Biden's foreign business partners more than 24 times.
You know, the Freedom Caucus, there are going to be some fights over the budget coming up and the threats of shutdowns and whatnot. That Freedom Caucus is, you know, to the American people, to conservatives like me, it's important because it's our voice. It's our voice saying, stop with the spending, stop with the insanity, stop with this crazy budgeting. You were on it for a while. You're not now, and I think the Freedom Caucus is missing a VIP, very important person on that. Thoughts on not being part of that?
Well, I'm not interested in games, and I'm not interested in pulling pranks, and I'm not interested in just fighting leadership. I think that's a complete waste of time. The voters in my district sent me to Washington to get things accomplished, and that's why I'm here. And I have said all along that the power of the purse is extremely important, and that's where appropriation bills are. So I didn't get engaged in silly fights and anti-leadership fights, because I saw those as a complete waste of time. Where we can make a real difference for conservatives across America, like you, Eric, like myself, like the great people in my district, and many hardworking Americans, is making sure that our appropriation bills serve America first and make sure that they spend the American people's tax dollars appropriately. And it doesn't take any shenanigans or games to get that done. It just takes the hard work of pushing forward and making sure we vote appropriately.
Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Eric.